Okay, everyone. So I am making this late night video because I had a great conversation with a friend earlier today. And as I was getting home and making a late dinner, I was reflecting a lot on this conversation, and I felt like there were a lot of really great tidbits, a lot of gold that could be extracted from that conversation, and I wanted to share before I forgot. And I do have some notes off to the side here, very disjointed, pretty much my style. So if you see me looking off to the side, I'm just trying to remember what it is I wanted to share. So the topic of this video is mindset shifts. But what creates true mindset shifts? What creates true healing, true change? Because so often in the self-help space, in the manifestation space, in the mindset space, we try to encourage this fast shift. You hear people say, like, shift timelines, or you hear people say, you just gotta like rewire with these affirmations, just keep repeating these affirmations. And hey, I'm not knocking that. I do that to some extent myself. I even have a subliminal channel that I've had for maybe, what, 6 years now. Um, so it's not that I don't believe mindset shifts can happen in more instantaneous ways sometimes, but I don't believe that you can have genuine, lasting healing unless you work with your body. You work according to these gentle gradations of healing because there are so many layers to unpack behind all of our beliefs, behind all of the stories and symptoms that our body has to tell. And it's kind of like if someone has a fear of heights, you're not going to tell them, okay, tomorrow we're going to go skydiving. We're going to get over this fear by going skydiving. No, it's exposure therapy. You do gentle introductions, slowly helping to expand that comfort zone. We're not trying to completely enter a new reality overnight. We are trying to work with the capacity that our body has. And this is gentle. This is self-compassionate. And I shared a little bit about in a video recently what I've been learning about German New Medicine and my own journey with that. And for those who haven't seen that video, German New Medicine is this ideology that essentially many of our body's physical symptoms stem from emotional conflicts. And the problem is, a lot of the time, we can actually get stuck in one of these emotional conflicts because we get traumatized by the health symptom itself, even though the health symptom is the body trying to already resolve the conflict and heal itself. But we get stuck in this loop. So, for example, let's say that you have insomnia because you had some sort of trauma in your past and your body feels like it needs to stay awake, it needs to be alert at all times. You don't feel like that you are safe to sleep at night. That makes sense. That is your body trying to resolve that emotional conflict. But then you get so anxious about the insomnia. You get so nervous going to bed every night. The symptom itself becomes traumatizing. It becomes its own trauma, and it perpetuates this loop of anxiety and fear. Now, the way to get over that, once again, is not to just be like, okay, yeah, tonight I'm just gonna decide to shift my mindset. I'm just gonna sleep. I mean, I wish it was as easy as that. It's more likely that you are going to move through ups and downs and build the capacity to not get re-traumatized in this cycle, to kind of hold your body in that space and be like, okay, it's very frustrating that I can't sleep. This symptom is making me anxious. I acknowledge that. I'm not trying to override that and lie to myself. Like, it genuinely upsets me that I can't sleep right now, but I'm going to try to down regulate little by little over time my body's reaction to that. Even if I can't do it right now, little by little, maybe it gives me a spike of cortisol right now, but tomorrow when it happens again, a spike of cortisol is a little bit less, and then a little bit less, and then maybe something happens, a trigger that brings back that insomnia cycle again. And you have to be like, okay, that's okay. I have made progress before. I can make progress again. I am not bound to this loop. I understand that life is always changing. I am always changing. I can't always be in an upward trajectory. I have to be able to have the capacity to accept that my body is constantly shifting and moving through these conflicts, and it's going to be okay. I have a sense of acceptance with that. And like I said before, you don't need to lie to yourself. You can still be like, okay, yeah, this is frustrating. Yeah, this upsets me. But you are down regulating. So instead of going into an extreme panic about it, you're kind of like, okay, this is upsetting. Do you see what I mean? You're still being authentic, you're still being honest with yourself, but you're really moving through those gradations of healing in a very gentle and self-compassionate way. So I gave the example the other day that I get really frustrated with these random skin breakouts that I get. And, because I'm so neurotic, I get stuck in this loop where I re-traumatize myself, where every time a new spot comes back, I'm like, like I feel like my whole body I go into this stress response, right? And, today it happened again. And I had to be like, okay, hold on, take a deep breath. Yes, this is frustrating. Yes, I don't like this, but I don't need to absorb this much fear from this. I don't need to be a victim of this, the sense of shock. I don't need to be re-traumatized by this. I can build the capacity to handle this and have a bunch of tools or whatever you need to work with that. And I'm not explaining this as in as much depth as I would like. But the point is that it's slow progress, right? Like I still had that stress response. The ideal thing would be that it wouldn't affect me at all. But that's not where I'm at yet. And I am okay with that. Because the minute I have resistance and I'm like, no, that's not okay. The fact that I'm still having the stress response, that means it's going to keep getting worse. Like, nope, nope. That's okay. I'm not there yet, but I'm better than where I was before. And even if I regress, I know that I've made progress in the past and I know that it's always available to me again, right? So having flexibility, that is ultimately what healing comes down to. It is building the capacity for flexibility, for flux, for constantly being in these ups and downs, but being able to maintain a sense of stability within yourself while being authentic, while being honest with yourself, while acknowledging, yes, this bothers me. I'll give you another example. Let's say that someone has severe anxiety about social situations and they take medication anytime they go into a social situation like this. They then form this association in their brain that they can't be in social situations without this medication, right? It becomes a crutch. It's like, okay, I need this, or it's not going to go well for me. Uh, what kind of needs to happen here is you're not just going to tell this person, like, okay, go cold turkey, right? Like, just go right out there and just go without it and see what happens. No, you gotta slowly, you know, reduce the dose, or maybe start them off in minor social situations without needing that support. And then see, okay, you did well. Like that was okay. Now let's try to up the intensity a little bit more. It really is about this gentle exposure therapy. And eventually you find yourself in a place where you forget to even take the medication and you're in a social situation and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even need that. You know what I mean? But it's not overnight. It's gentle, it's self-compassionate. And I'm going to repeat that so many times because we cannot be too critical with ourselves. It does not create any positive or fruitful change. And this applies to any mindset work. It doesn't have to be a symptom, it doesn't have to be like a physical illness thing. It could even be beliefs you have about your career or finances or this idea, oh, this is kind of job's never going to come along for me. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and suddenly be extremely hopeful about the future, because that is like a spark that goes off for like a second and then it just goes out again. You can't maintain that hope without realistic change, without realistic work, getting those roots really in. So it's like, okay, you feel this way one day, let's maybe the next day challenge that a little bit. Let's challenge that idea. What would happen if that wasn't the reality? What would happen if, things did go my way career-wise? Gently challenging it, but not pushing it too far. And like I said, always making little bit of progress over time until your body really starts to settle into that knowledge. Okay, I actually really believe things can change for me. And it's not just a baseless hope that's like flying, like with nothing to ground it. No, it's rooted, it's grounded, it's felt in your body because you have done that work to sit with your body and make it feel safe. So, yeah, I'm just going to check to see if there's anything I wanted to say that I forgot because I actually didn't look at my notes this time. Um, but yeah, I pretty much said it all. Like our brain is incredibly intelligent and associative in a way that can be very frustrating. And sometimes I want to be like, oh, like, why is my brain, making these associations? Like, why is it so easy to associate this symptom with this emotional conflict? Like, why can't you just let me exist? But everything our body does is trying to help us. Everything our body does is from a place of wisdom, even if it's frustrating. And you're still allowed to feel frustrated about that. That's the thing. It's not about toxic positivity. Um, but yeah, it's this knowledge. I'm going to be okay, even if this is upsetting me. And working little by little to see how can I downregulate this response? Not how do I get rid of this response? Because that's going to be too big of a step. How can I downregulate it? What are little things I can do each day to make progress? And this is why this work kind of turns people off a lot of the time because, I was listening to one podcast where someone said it took her 5 months of doing this to finally see a shift in her symptom. So it's not something that you can kind of just snap your fingers and be like, okay, I fixed this issue. It takes deep, deep work. So yeah, I think that's all I'll say on that.